To be or not to be sober. Let me say that again. To be or not to be sober. That's what I want to talk to you about today. So Wade Baldwin here from Freedom Echo, and I don't know, probably a cheesy title, but I think it really relates at least to sobriety and, you know, my history. Probably a lot of people that, even if you're not struggling with addiction, I think that's one thing I wanted to talk about and relate in this video. So when I was growing up, well, I guess I should say after I discovered alcohol, there's a song that used to come on the radio and I used to listen to by the band Tool, and it's called Sober. And if you've never heard it, well, there's a line that says, "Why can't we not be sober? I just want to start things over." And just that line, every time it would come on, it would speak to my addiction and speak to my thirst, if you will. And, you know, I hope I don't focus too much on the problem here when I'm sharing my content. Please share some comments and subscribe if you haven't, because, you know, I want to keep making this content. I'm trying to help other addicts, alcoholics, achieve sobriety, but not just sobriety, but the life that everyone is deserving of, and that's a happy life, happiness. So back to the song, "Why Can We Not Be Sober?" It would come on the radio and it would just speak to me. And it's just like, oh yes, sobriety is so boring. Sobriety, like, I don't want to be sober, blah, blah, blah. And that speaks to, you know, partly the disease of what my addiction was in the mind. But I also, there's another video I made calling Feeding the Imaginary Chasm, because I thought I had this imaginary black hole inside of me. I was trying to fill it externally. And that's why I call it the imaginary chasm, because the hole's not really there. I imagined the hole to be there, and that's why I was trying to feed it from external sources. And when I started to feed myself from within myself and from God and the light and the positive energy that's all around us and living and through us. I mean, the body is just such an amazing machine of chemistry and just miracle of life anyways. But going off tangent here and off topic. But so, to be or not to be sober. So back to the point. And the reason I relate that song from Tool in this video is because that was the question that was always in the back of my mind. Not to be sober was literally my goal in life, practically, sadly, and not the subconscious goal, because obviously I was still, you know, functional for the most part up until my disease really took over. And then, yeah, I mean, so that's another reason that I want to share this information, because if I can help just one person, I mean, obviously the goal is to help more than that, but I quit drinking for a number of years. I was able to turn it on and turn it off for a long time, through my 20s, through my 30s. And but only for a time. And it was limited. But I also thought that alcohol needed to be a part of my life. It's a part of me. It's a part of my personality. And that's the challenge. Is I got to a point to where I was drinking daily. I could not stop. I could not stop for the life of me for even 24 hours. Please get help before you reach that point. Because a lot of times from an addict perspective, they say, well, Sometimes you got to hit rock bottom before you can start climbing up. The miracle that I've seen in Alcoholics Anonymous, which is just such an amazing program, and it's helped me so much, is the kids that I see come in their early 20s and even earlier than that, when I was in rehab. But had I been willing and open and wanting to change back then in my life, oh, well, I mean, obviously I'm not going to go back and rewrite history, and we all have a different journey to go and live. And, in the back of my mind for probably a good 2 weeks now was the concept of to be or not to be sober. Basically, I am a tool for God to use, and that's how I want it to be, because part of this program, as well as if I did not turn my will over to God, I would still be an alcoholic and I would still be drunk. I know I would not be recovered. I would not be sober. I would not have the amazing and wonderful blessings that I have today, my family, my wonderful boys, and being able to enjoy them without that constant need to hide my addiction, to feed my addiction. Just the unending pain, anguish, shame, misery, guilt that addiction just continually perpetuated. The circle of chaos, the circle of madness, the circle of insanity. That's what God can do and did for me. He restored me to sanity. But we have to be willing to change. We have to be open. We have to be ready. And it took me hitting rock bottom before I was ready to do that. But it's asking for help. It's being willing to take the help. And help, without help, no one makes it through life without help in all stages of our life. I mean, we can't even get born without help. We can't walk without help. We can't stay clean without help, and diapers and you name it. We can't learn without help. We can't recover without help. We can't grow without help. For the longest time, I wanted to do everything on my own. I thought I could quit on my own, and asking for help is a weakness. And oh my goodness, silliness. Anyways, back to the topic of to be or not to be sober. The goal and the message that I want to share is to be sober. How we do that, how we live and can own our story and not be ashamed of that. Share that information. Be open and willing. And get rid of that fallacy of a sober life is a boring life. I can't, I live for the weekends. Because another thought that came to me while pondering not to be sober was, is that even interesting? Is that even something that ever crosses your mind when you ask yourself the question to be or not to be sober? If the answer is not to be sober, and one, you don't think you have a problem, or you're still functional, then there may be a problem, or there may be an addict, because you may be an addict, excuse me. It's funny, I used to see a beer, still with head on it, still moist, the glass, it had been sipped for hours and hours, but then there's still that little bit that I would never leave in the glass, never leave in the can, never leave in the bottle. And I would see these all around the bar sometimes when I was leaving, or, even at, a friend's house when we were having some drinks or whatnot. And it would just baffle me. here I was thinking, that's alcohol abuse. You're not finishing all that was there. That's the sickness that was going through my mind, and it's crazy. And I know I'm not alone in that, because I've heard other addicts and alcoholics talk about the same thing. And I always heard coworkers talk about, oh, what are you doing this weekend? Well, I'm gonna throw a few back, whatever. And got to me to the point to where I had, well, I thought I had to have alcohol to survive. And so it was a day in, day out, like morning to brush off the pain and suffering of the hangover from the night before. And then, of course, continuing through the day, and then at the end of the night. And I'm able to laugh about it now, but truly and utterly, this is not a laughing matter. But one thing that the beauty of the community of Alcoholics Anonymous can also provide is recognizing that we need to find humor in these things, because the baggage is already gone. The baggage is already in the past. You process it, you leave it. That negative energy dissipates and is gone. It's kind of like the process of recovering from trauma or painful memories, which I've had some experience of having to do that myself. And it's not about forgetting about those, but disassociating and cleansing, if you will, or separating negative energy from the memory and letting it go. Let go, let God. So back to the point about, leaving a little bit in the glass, sipping a beer versus, you got to drink that thing. What are you wasting your time on that for? If you ask yourself not to be sober, and the answer is, all right, after work, got to throw a few back. That's the activity for the weekend. And it's not to necessarily get a comfortable buzz, if you will. I mean, I don't even know what normal people that don't drink to drunk even is. So I guess maybe if you know what that is, comment and help me understand that information. Because not to be sober, that's ever something that is even interesting or something you do. I want to challenge folks to say that, hey, one, there's a better way, and two, you may have a problem. The point of this video was the getting out of the mode and recognizing, if I'm ever thinking that not to be sober is a way to do life and achieve happiness, or even survive and avoid pain and misery, I tried that to avoid pain and misery for the majority of my life. And the challenge was I did not understand that I had learned and conditioned myself, along with having a sickness and disease of the body and of the spirit, was that's how I managed my emotions, or thought I was managing them, or drowning them, or running away from them, avoiding them. Life will happen regardless of whether you're sober or not. And I've just recently had some definite challenges, the biggest challenges since getting sober. One of my cousins decided to take their own life. And I had forgotten what it truly was to feel sadness, and learning how to process these things sober is certainly different. It's not easy, but it's a hell of a lot easier than trying to do life the way I was before, just the absolute chaos and not feeling. Life is too short to try and drown the amazingness of our feelings and experiences. And life is a journey, and the journey, I mean, I've heard it said it's not about the destination, it's about the journey, and that is so true. The number of blessings I've received, the life that I have now compared to what I was struggling with, trying to improve things while continually digging myself a deeper hole while feeding my addiction. I urge you, I applaud you if you do reach out, get help. I'm happy to try and talk to you about my experiences in a one-on-one setting. I'll put some information down in the description of the video. The point is, get help. Ask for help. Get the help. And it's okay to not be okay. When somebody asks you how you are you okay? Why do we always say we're okay even when we're not? Silly. The facade, the mask, the front that we put on are always supposed to be fine. I'm okay, no matter what. It's ridiculous. Honest answers. Let's feel.